The movie opens with Geralt tracking a monster's scent, an Alamorax, a creature he's only ever read about in books. He warns Jaskier to hang back on the shore since his fancy shoes aren't made for climbing rocks. A massive monster pops out of nowhere. Geralt subdues the beast after a drawn out battle. A couple of merfolk appear pleading with Geralt to spare the creature. They argue that it isn't attacking people, just snacking on oysters and the shiny trinkets divers keep inside them. Cut to an underwater scene in the merfolk city. The locals are upset, shouting about how the humans are destroying their food supply. The king tries to keep the peace, reminding them they've had a long period of harmony with the surface world. But many blame the humans for hiring a witcher to kill their beloved sea creature. Queen Dahut tries to calm things down, reassuring the crowd that the council is doing everything they can to avoid war with the Bremer Vord. But the crowd isn't buying it, accusing the queen of going soft because her daughter is in love with the human prince. They claim the humans are pushing too far, and now even sea creatures are at risk, and they demand action. Dahut listens but makes it clear she won't be rushed into war. Her daughter Shienaz argues that her union with Prince Agloval could actually bring peace. Dahut isn't having it, calling Shienaz naive and claiming humans can't be trusted. Melusina, Shienaz's aunt, backs the idea of diplomacy through marriage. A man approaches Jaskier and Geralt and asks if he is Jaskier the Bard, the famous song Dawn of Oxenfurt, offering him a gig at the Imbolc festival. He's willing to pay well, and the king will be there, so Jaskier agrees. At the festival, Jaskier meets Essie, a childhood friend from Bremerford. Essie greets him, calling him Julian, before introducing herself to Geralt. She explains that they grew up together in this town. Jaskier recounts how Essie once helped him when a bully named Celeste, who happened to be the king's bastard, broke his instrument. Essie punched Celeste for it, and Jaskier laughs it off, saying he hasn't thought much about Celeste since then, probably dying in a debtor's prison. But then, to Jaskier's shock, Celeste, now the king's military advisor, walks in with Prince Agloval. Some fishermen are shown finding oysters full of jewels and celebrating their good luck, but suddenly they're attacked and killed by supposedly the Vodnik. Essie joins Geralt, asking him about the many adventures Jaskier has written songs about and teasing him about his tendency to downplay the embellishments. She asks about the famous werewolf fight, the vampire horde, and the djinn. Geralt responds with dry humor, revealing he cured the werewolf with wolfsbane and played down the vampire fight. Essie jokes about his lack of flirting skills. Meanwhile, Jaskier brags about his performance, pleased with the standing ovation, but when he hears Essie sing his song, he joins her on stage to sing it together. The scene shifts as Princess Nisben of Maribor arrives at the festival, capturing everyone's attention. Celeste makes a remark about the king's attempts to find Agloval a more suitable match. Suddenly, a man bursts in, bloodied and dying, saying he was attacked by the merfolk Svodnik. The king's advisors demand action, and the pressure to declare war on the mer people intensifies. The king reluctantly tells Agloval that they've run out of options. Celeste proposes that Geralt hunt down the Vodnik and kill it. He argues that if Geralt confirms the merfolk are behind the attacks, the king will have no choice but to declare war. Geralt says he's not going to justify a war. Jaskier suggests that maybe, just maybe, Geralt could prevent one. Later, Geralt asks Jaskier why he never mentioned being from Bremervord. Jaskier admits he had to leave to escape the narrow-mindedness of the town and become the person he wanted to be. Geralt points out that Essie doesn't fit that description, to which Jaskier responds that she's like a sister to him. Then he teases Geralt about his apparent interest in Essie, calling her a good woman, before comparing her to Yennefer, whom he calls a raven-haired, sunken-eyed, serpent-tongued she-demon. That night, Geralt has a dream where he is with Essie, but things get complicated when Yennefer shows up. Geralt asks why she keeps pushing him away when he just wants to get closer. Before he knows it, Yennefer is screaming for him to wake up, and when he does, he's immediately attacked by a Vodnik. After a quick fight, Geralt manages to subdue it. Geralt lets the Vodnik live because it could lead him to more of the creatures. Geralt also realizes that Essie has been following them. Essie tells Geralt she wants to help, especially since war is looming. She points out that low tide is coming, and that's the perfect time to head toward Dragon's Fangs. Later, Agloval meets with Shienaz, and while they share some sweet words about love, Shiinaz notices Geralt and the humans nearby. She dives into the water, realizing something is wrong. Meanwhile, Geralt, Essie, and Jaskier arrive at Dragonfangs. Geralt spots the Vodnik he let go earlier and goes after it with Essie. The Vodnik is about to reveal who sent it after Geralt, but before it can, Zelest attacks and kills the creature, stopping them from learning more. A fight breaks out, and Zelest accuses Geralt of letting others do his dirty work. Geralt calls out Zelest for pushing a war when he's trying to stop one. Meanwhile, the Vodniks board the ship and kill Zelest's men. The merfolk show up from the water, joining the fight, and chaos ensues. Geralt tries to stop the bloodshed, but when a Vodnik grabs Essie, pulling her underwater, Geralt has no choice but to kill the creature and save her. After the battle, Geralt warns Zealous to leave, or he'll be the only real monster left standing. Meanwhile, in the Merfolk kingdom, the queen is upset over the injuries to their kin. Shiinaz tries to explain that Agloval's brother must be acting on his own, but the queen isn't buying it. She thinks Agloval is hiding something, and that his relationship with the humans is distracting them from their true duty. Yaskir suggests they need to speak to the prince and Shiinaz directly to get to the bottom of this. The next day, the group meets with Shiinaz and Agloval. Agloval proposes marriage, but it's clear the two are at odds over how they can even make it work. Essie calls out Agloval's lack of sacrifice for Shiinaz. Geralt interrupts to get to the heart of the matter, the Vodnik. Shiinaz denies any involvement, but the conversation soon spirals into accusations, with Sheena's upset about Glover's loyalty and the human's role in killing her cousin. On the Vodnik side, preparations for war against humans are underway. Sheenaz confides in her aunt Melusina, expressing her disgust toward humans, but also revealing her conflicted feelings. Despite her mother's preparations for war, she admits she doesn't want more lives lost, whether sea creature or human. Melusina presents Sheenaz with a potion that would allow her to take on a human form. She suggests that proven loyalty might convince Agloval to see reason. Sheenaz struggles with the idea and willing to sacrifice everything. Later, Essie meets Geralt, desperate to save her nephew from being sent to war. She hopes Geralt's suspicions about the attacks on pearl divers being falsely blamed on the mermaids are correct. If humans are responsible, there might still be a chance to save Lackland. They soon come across a dead body, and Jaskier immediately blames the Vodnik. Geralt isn't convinced, noting that all the spear wounds are from below the waterline. None of the Vodnik climbed aboard the ship, leading him to suspect a different attacker. When they discover a necklace worn exclusively by the royal mermaid family, Geralt decides they need to confront the king immediately. At the palace, Geralt accuses the sea witch Melusina of orchestrating the attacks while disguised as a kraken. He presents the royal mermaid necklace as evidence, pointing out that only the sea witch could shapeshift and brew potions. Agloval, shocked, sees that Melusina has been impersonating Princess Nisban right under their noses. The king, revealed to be in league with Melusina, orders her to flee. She fights Geralt and the others before escaping by diving into the water. Zelest admits he pushed for war because he believed the kingdom was under attack. He turns on the king, who tries to dismiss him as a mistake he always wanted to erase. When the king orders Zelest's execution, Zelest refuses to contribute to more bloodshed and stands his ground. As battles rage between humans, Vodnik, and merpeople, Melusina transforms into a massive kraken, wreaking havoc on the battlefield. Zelest is killed while trying to protect Jaskier. Shiinaz faces off against her aunt, who reveals a long-standing resentment toward Shiinaz's mother for taking away the love of her life, Basim. Consumed by vengeance, Melusina declares that Dahoud deserves to lose everything. Agloval arrives just in time to save Shiinaz. The king saves him and pushes him onto a barge where Essie waits. Geralt, fighting alongside the others, manages to defeat the Kraken with Essie's help. Agloval searches frantically for Shiinaz but can't find her until Queen Dahoud heals her. In the aftermath, Agloval denounces the war and vows to find a path to peace. The king apologizes for his actions. Agloval announces his decision to marry Shienaz, revealing a potion that will allow one of them to take their lover's form. The king reluctantly agrees to the marriage, hoping to maintain the royal line. At the wedding, Agloval surprises everyone by taking the potion himself, transforming into a merman, declaring there is nothing left for him in the kingdom. He joins Shienaz in the sea. The king, devastated, blames Geralt for the loss of his legacy. Geralt calmly reminds him that pride and arrogance were the real causes of his downfall. Afterward, Essie reflects on Gloval's marriage and hopes it will bring the peace they all sought. Geralt acknowledges that he couldn't have solved the mystery without her help. They share a brief but bittersweet connection, with Essie recognizing that their paths in life are too different. As morning breaks, Geralt and Jaskier prepare to leave. Essie expresses her gratitude for the adventure, but admits she desires a life of stability and peace, something Geralt can't offer. Jaskier lightens the mood by suggesting they head to the remote Dragon Mountains, far from any chance encounters with Yennefer. Geralt smiles, and the two set off together, ready for their next adventure.